So you want to know why this movie right here, Repo Men, made me want to get rid of 40 movies out of my entire collection? Well, it's less about this actual movie and the experience. So I decided this year I was going to rewatch all of my DVDs, and I was going to make two piles as I watched them. I was either going to get rid of it or I was going to upgrade it. And so this made the upgrade pile, and as I went to go upgrade it, they had just announced this 4K. So this is getting a 4K, and if I had pulled the trigger and I paid the, whatever it was, you know, $18, $20, $25 for this Blu-ray, and then a 4K is coming out, and then to pay all that extra money for it, it would have been extremely frustrating for me. It happened to me quite a few times last year where I literally pulled the trigger on something and then somebody was announcing or posting on Twitter how, or Instagram, how that movie was getting a 4K release or a new Blu-ray or something that we had never had before, and it was very frustrating. A lot of them I actually passed on, but there was a couple of them that I had just recently got the Blu-ray, and then I was double dipping buying the 4K, and it's just a kind of a frustrating thing. So I don't want to repeat that this year. We're getting rid of all of these, and the goal is to try to find them as cheaply as possible. So as we do that, I want to show you these ones. And I'm not going to go through all of the movies, but we're going to go on the journey to actually find these today. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of these movies here. These are some of the harder ones to find, whether there was a Blu-ray in another country. I know like Splash and My Boss's Daughter got Blu-rays in different countries. But then some of the rest of them here, I think, are completely out of print, harder to find, and it's something that, you know, they're high priority for me. So 100% if they get a 4K, I'm going to pull the trigger day one because I'm not going to have them in the collection anymore. But the goal and the focus is to try to find these through thrifting or Second and Charles or any of the used bookstores that I go to. And so we're going to go on that journey. We're going to hit them all up, and we're going to trade these in. I'm going to try to find as many as I can today. We're going to, you know, complete that video. I'm going to show you what I get at the end. But then throughout the entire year, I've written them all down. So if I'm not going to find all of them or any of them throughout the entire year, I'm going to try to track these down. And hopefully by the end of the year, I have them all. And so then this pile here is 31 of them. And it's kind of a big pile. So we're going to, instead of just pausing, I'm going to show you this entire pile, like how ridiculous it is. So we're getting rid of these, but then we'll break up the pile a little bit better so you can see these at home. So these are the ones that they all have. Let's see. Pause that right there if you want to read them all. But these ones all have Blu-rays, and these ones are easier to find. They're better priced. I found many of them for like in the $7 or $8 price tag online. But then if I can find them for like a couple dollars at the thrift store or the used bookstore, I want to go that route. And so in case any of these get a 4K, and not all of them I would need to hurry up and get the $35 or $40, you know, because that's what some of them 4Ks are starting to get at. Some of these just wouldn't need that for me, but happy to get them all on Blu-ray. And so this is the next pile here. Like this one here, Eddie Murphy Raw, I wouldn't need it on 4K. I'd be happy with the Blu-ray. This one, Toy Soldiers, it's one of my wife's movies, but this one I would be very happy to get this on Blu-ray, and you know, 4K I wouldn't need it, but if it came out I'd pick it up. Ghost Dad, this is another one that it never had a Blu-ray here, but it was a Blu-ray in another country, so I'm going to try to grab that from Germany. And then this one here, this pile, this is the rest of them. Now we got a couple of 4Ks last year, like Blown Away was a more recent 4K that came out. And then, I don't know, I think this was Umbrella put this out as a big Blu-ray box, Boiling Point. So that's the one I'm actually going to try to get online. But all the rest of these movies here, we're going to work on trying to get them as cheaply as possible. So follow me on this journey, and then after the journey we're going to meet back here and I'm going to show you what I got. So the very first store here we're going to is Second and Charles. Now this is a huge store, and it takes a little while for me to get to it, so it's something that it's not one of my regular stops, but I like to go here at least a couple times a month because while the prices are kind of all over the place and I've got some great deals for like a couple dollars, there's definitely some overpriced gems in here and stuff that the condition, the quality, I would hate to pay the extra money for. So it's something that's worth going to, but never high on my list. The very first stop here is the soundtrack section. I usually don't find anything worth picking up here, but last year alone, I think I picked up a total of 3 soundtracks. So it's worth checking out. There's stuff that I like to grab. That I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for, you know, anything Batman related, some of my absolute favorites. There's a version of Legend that I would love to get that I found a picture online. Brian over at Last Movie Standing actually found one, but it's something that I didn't know existed until he found it, and so big fan of the movie, always trying to get that. But then there's, you know, some of my all-time favorites, anything that I grew up with, anything from the 80s, I'm just, you know, gonna probably end up picking it up because I'm a huge soundtrack guy. And the fact that I don't love music, I like the music from the movies. But anyway, this is something that I would have grabbed this Pulp Fiction here, but the condition is just horrible, and that is, you know, the dilemma. I won't pay a ton of money. The stuff is never, you know, some of the movies that I pick up used at the used bookstore, I get a better deal, better condition than a lot of the stuff that's worth grabbing at Second and Charles. I don't know if it's all the locations, but this location specifically. Now this is something that there's a little bit of yellowing on that white edge of there. I would have grabbed this $5. I don't think it's a bad price, but I have seen this in real life before, and I feel that that white was a little bit cleaner, whiter. I don't know what happened there. It just might be my memory of it. Replacement Killers is a solid film. I didn't grab the soundtrack, but this is something that I think I only have it on VHS. Maverick's a great film, but I think I got to upgrade that before I buy the soundtrack. Dirty Dancing, another one of my favorites. I already have this one on CD, but it's just a nice one. I'd love to find this one in vinyl. I don't think you can go wrong. Some of the prices are great. You know, $3 for a CD is pretty much where I'm at. $5, it really depends on the film. Then we're making it over to past the video game section all the way to the DVD/Blu-ray section. Now, just like all the other stores, there's very few Blu-rays, and a lot of them I already have. Most everything that's worth picking up here is DVD only, and again, the goal is not to grab a DVD unless it's something I don't already have. Scanning these shelves, I'm always looking for 4Ks or standout packaging or things that I'm just kind of always have on my radar. But in general, here's the TV section. Now, the Seinfeld 4K just came out, and I'm trying to pick that up. But I still have the DVDs because I watch them when I go on vacation. I have the portable DVD player, so I bring that. But then I also have a DVD player in my kitchen, so being able to watch this. I only have the first few seasons. I think season 1 through 4 or 1 through 6. I don't have them all, so trying to grab these, but we're not going to pick up any of these today. I think I was trying to find the price on them. None of these were priced out, the ones that I needed. So $11 for that one. Sealed, brand new is fine, but I already have volume 3, so the ones I needed had no price on it. And I think their policy is if it doesn't have a price, they have to like reprocess it, and I'm just not messing with any of that today. Now, as I scan this is the comedy section. There's a few comedies that I would love to find a Blu-ray. Always looking for The Ringer. That's an out of print, hard to find one. Adventures of Babysitting is a classic. Now, I have this on Blu-ray, but it's a solid pickup. It's a Touchstone film. I don't think we're getting a 4K anytime soon, and I'm not sure if that Blu-ray is out of print now, but I've had it for many years. Now in here, you know, again, the majority of the Blu-rays I already have. Nothing really standing out to me. This is something, the Gunn and Betty Lou's handbag. Now, this is something I don't have in the collection. I thought I had the Kino Lorber version, but I don't. So I don't know what happened to it, but that's something that I'll probably go back and pick that up at some point. Now this one here, Jexy. Now I remember when it came out, I remember the trailers, but it's something I completely missed out on. I'm not sure if it's worth checking out, but for almost $9, I don't think it's a me movie. Now onto their little section here. This is where they keep the Criterions, and I never find that they have good prices on them. So used $30 for a movie that it might not be for me. That's one of the cheaper ones. So here, People Sunday. It's another one, I'm not familiar with it. We're looking at $25 price point. That's not so bad for a used one, but if you can get them half off, you're getting it at $20 anyway. So another one used, The Phantom Carriage. That one here, $27.95. Again, wait for the sale, but on average, those Criterions, they have them priced at the $35 to $50 price range anyway. The doors here, I'm not going to get it, but the package I think is just really neat. Here's another one. It's one of the digipacks here. The price tag on that is $41.95 for a used, opened Criterion movie that it might just be a one and done for me. Now here, the Sylvester Stallone Rocky set. Now this is probably worth a pickup, but the package is all beat up. It's $25. Now, I don't have all the films. I used to have them all on DVD, but then I got rid of those DVDs. I think I only have the first Rocky on Blu-ray, and that's pretty much it. So it's something I'd like to probably get the 4Ks eventually. Now, VHS, here again, is hit or miss. Now, I don't need any of this stuff, but these are more the fair prices. A lot of times I find VHS here talking about $30, $40, $50. Like, they're putting collector crazy eBay prices. $8 for Scooby-Doo. A lot of those VHS I find for 50 cents at the thrift store. But this is something that I was tempted to get. I already have it, but sealed for $17, it's not a bad price. I don't need it. I already have it, and the one I have is in really good condition. But you know, I do try to pick up as much of the Star Wars stuff that I have. If I didn't have that, that would have been a no-brainer. Now, looking at these ones here, I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, but I like to see what they have the stuff priced at, because a lot of, there's a lot of collectors out there, and because it's sealed, I find that sometimes there's some outrageous prices for a sealed VHS. This is a movie that I've never even heard of, but a $20 price tag, get out of here. That's like eBay prices. So now as we move on to this other section here, we're in the dramas. Now, I have a lot of these Blu-rays that are available. I don't have 50 Shades of Grey, but then I always like to just check out. You never know. There's a Blu-ray. I found some great things. Now this one here, Fried Green Tomatoes, it's actually like a guilty pleasure movie. I kind of like it and I kind of don't. So I grew up watching this. My mom watched it all the time. I have it on VHS, but I love the story they tell in the movie. But then there's like the modern part where Kathy Bates' character meets the other character, and she, to learn about her life. All that modern storytelling I could do without, but all that backstory, the history, like the flashback storytelling, huge fan. So it's like a love-hate relationship. So I've never upgraded, but I kind of like the movie. Now, Gravity is another one that I always check out, because there's a hard-to-find Blu-ray that has the Dolby Atmos on here, and so it's something that I'm always trying to find. But I find this movie everywhere. Like every store I have, there's like 2 or 3 copies at least, but never ever find the Dolby Atmos version. Now another one, it's a 4K. I already have this movie. Not one of my favorites, but $14 used for the 4K. I don't know. I don't think I'm there at that price, especially when I still find these. I get them cheaper at the other bookstore, or I find them used at the thrift store. Gone with the Wind, it's a great film, but I already have that. Let's see. I don't really think there's anything else here that I'm loving or that I don't already have. Godfather. I actually have only the Godfather movies on VHS, but I don't have them on Blu-ray. I don't think I've ever had them on anything but the VHS. It's something that the amount of times that I revisit, we're talking once every 5 years or so, I've just never upgraded. Now here's one that I was trying to get it out, but it was stuck on, so I just didn't even bother with it. So if something had sticker and it just was sticking all the movies together, I had to move on. Wonderful Life. This is just a fun, not really fun, but it's a great classic Christmas story, something that I love to revisit during Christmas. Her is another one that came highly recommended, but it just was never a me movie. I had to pass on it. Now, Fast 7, I don't have all the Fast and Furious movies. I really only like the first one. Some of them are okay. Final Kill is something I never heard of before. Fixed Bayonets, it might be worth getting, but finding a Kino Lorber out in the wild here, it just kind of blows my mind, especially something like this. But $17 for a used Kino Lorber title, I just couldn't do it. If it was one of the ones that I have on my radar that have a huge price tag, I'd probably pull the trigger at 17 bucks. But if it had a huge price tag on eBay, then I just feel that here at Second Charles, it would be like 50 or 60 bucks. Fanboys here, I have this on Blu-ray, but if you've never seen it, this is just a good comedy. $8. I don't think that's bad for that movie. Something that I really enjoyed. And if you haven't seen it, you know, their friend is dying. They're trying to get to Lucas Ranch to try to see the screening of Phantom Menace before it comes out, before their friend passes away. Just an all-around, I don't know, I think it's a good film. So I think I'm striking out here at the first store. There's really not a lot that either I had on my radar or that I was able to knock off this list. Not a ton of Blu-rays at all. And, you know, the stuff that I'm mildly interested in, again, they were never day one purchases, so I don't think I need them now. The price point on these are a lot higher than I would like to pay for some of this older stuff. I think like used here, $8 is about it. In Time's a classic. I really enjoy it. I'm, you know, a big sci-fi fan for time travel stuff. But here, the Blu-ray, I have it on Blu-ray, so I don't need it. But this one here, for like $7, I don't think that's a bad pickup at all. Independence Day, I don't think you can go wrong. But again, it's that fancier, like holographic 3D, you know, rainbow color cover. Something that, you know, they don't really do that anymore, but it's just really noticeable. I enjoyed it. Here's Lost Boys. Now, this is something that, you know, I found at the other stores, and, you know, I never know if I'm going to pick it up. But yeah, the sequel here, I don't know. Let me know if I should get this one. Now, Lost in Space is something that I have a brand new copy of the case. The case is brand new, but the disc inside was broken, and so I have that. I'm always looking for one of those, but I'm looking for it on the cheaper end. Machete is something that I'd pick it up, but I think that, you know, I don't know, $9, I don't think I need it. It's something that it might just be a one and done for me. Overall, it's not something that I generally watch those types of movies all the time. So I think like the $9, it would probably end up back here at one of these stores. Now, Max Payne, I would grab this day one because it's something I have been looking for. I think the price point's great, but I recently got a lot of movies on eBay. I'm still waiting for those to come in, but Max Payne was in there. And I think the brand new price on Max Payne was like $9 or $10 from Amazon. So for $20, I got a ton of movies, and that was in that pile. So glad to get that, but yeah, this is something that I kind of passed on. Now here's a 4K, but again, the price point on the 4K, I'm pretty sure that's what it is new on eBay. Now, another one, this is just an interesting Steelbook. I'm not a Steelbook guy anymore, and this is, I'm pretty sure, the Steelbook for the DVD. But as I'm looking at it, $18. It's embossed. It's kind of cool. I liked all the, you know, I like everything about it. It was just kind of a pressed tin. But overall, again, very slim pickings, not a lot of things that I don't already have. And the few things that I'd be interested in, I just think they're a little overpriced. Highlander is a great one. Absolutely love this film. I have the 4K. I had this on VHS for the longest time, so I missed the whole DVD era, the whole Blu-ray era, and I went from VHS to 4K. Great experience. Now, I've seen the second one a ton of times, but I don't think I've seen any of the rest. And then I have seen the TV show, what's his name? This is the used bookstore that I always go to. As you can see, there's not a huge selection for Blu-rays, but there's a ton of DVDs. And now as I go through this, I always do the one thing is where I scan it first, and I just, anything that stands out, specifically any 4K movies or anything that I'm just very familiar with the spine and it's something that I had been looking for or I didn't have in my collection. Now this one here, Home Again, is something that, it's a Reese Witherspoon movie. I'm not sure, I've never seen it, but I always, you know, I find it everywhere I go, and I just kind of always interested in that one. Now as I go through, I have a lot of these, and so that's why I just kind of skip through them. There's stuff that sometimes I think that maybe the title is something else, like Into the Storm here is something that I wasn't interested in all, but I was thinking it was Perfect Storm because it's a movie I need. yeah, a lot of romantic movies. Now is a great time to pick up romance movies. If you're looking for anything, you know, for a holiday season, whether it be Valentine's Day or Halloween or Christmas, if you go like a couple weeks before the holiday, a lot of people clean out their closets and they dump this stuff off. So I'm always able to find like romantic movies around this time of year. This one here, Miami Rhapsody, another one I never saw. It completely missed me, but I keep finding it. And so it's something, I'm not going to end up getting it today, but it's something that I am always interested in. And I still haven't even seen the trailer of it, but it's something that I'm really probably going to pull the trigger one day. Mad Men, I'm trying to collect every single version of it. I love the show. I've seen it from beginning to end a couple times, but I only have the first couple seasons, so always grabbing one of those if I need to. Now here's something that only a couple years ago I found out that they did sequels to The Lost Boys, and so there's a second and a third one. Now they had both of them here. I don't know if I'm going to grab them because it's something that I've never seen it. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know if I should grab these or if they're even worth giving a shot. But it's something that every time I go to either a thrift store or used bookstore, they're always, one of them's always there. Now, in this section here, I have a couple of these already. Now, one, I see Jumpers there, Killer Elite. Now, Killer Elite is something that's always been on my radar, but this movie here, Killers, I was very disappointed by it. But this one here, Jumper, one of my all-time favorite sci-fi films. Now, this is a world that I enjoyed that they built, but I'm glad that they never really did any sequels with that one. Paul is something that we're getting a 4K of that very soon. I have the Blu-ray, but definitely if you find it for cheap, grab it. But the 4K is coming soon. Point Break, the sequel or the remake, I wasn't really into the Point Break remake. Postcard Killings is another one that I always see it. I'm tempted to grab it, but I just never do. And this Project X, now I have this one. It's a decent film. I like it, but I'm always looking for the Matthew Broderick one that came out in the 80s. It's long out of print and hard to find. Now this right here, Romeo and Juliet, it's one of my favorites. It came out in the 90s. It just hit me just right. And I like the film. I really would like a 4K to come to that very soon. Now Salt, it's okay. Not interested in that one. Sex Drive, it's another funny one. It's a good date night movie. It's something worth watching, I think. Stir of Echoes. This is a phenomenal movie. It just got a re-release. It's come back in popularity, but really enjoy that movie. And I have the imprint version of it, so I'm glad to have that. Now, same thing with Weeds is another TV show. I'm trying to collect every single version of them. Now, I don't have every single one. I think I'm missing a couple of the higher seasons. This is something as well. Like We Die Young, I always thought it was something else. The War at Home is another one. I miss the old Blu-rays like this where there's no big ugly banners. It just has all the artwork on it. Now, it's a movie that I hadn't seen before, but I do appreciate the artwork. Tremors 5. I was like, I've seen the first two Tremors for a fact. I knew there were some sequels, but I had no idea there was up to 5. Trespass is another underrated film. I really enjoyed it. Nicolas Cage, Nicole Kidman. I don't think you can really go wrong with that one. Now we're on to the next store. And so this is another section here. Tons of DVDs, not a ton of Blu-rays, and even in their new section, it's just overloaded with DVDs. There's a few things in here that I'm interested in, but overall, this is the biggest store that I get to go to, and it's just the entire wall all the way back, all the way down to that mirror. Is every section is just mostly DVDs. We have this one section here with two, like I guess 4-foot sections of Blu-rays. So Eddie the Eagle here is something that it was on my radar. I've never seen it, but I know it's out of print and hard to find. I would have picked it up if the DVD was in there, but the fact that they scratched off the DVD part, they just usually throw those away if they're all scratched up. Now this one here, Never Been Kissed, I have it on VHS, and it's something that I just wanted to watch recently, and I didn't get to finish it, so from what I saw, it was pretty decent. Now this is a movie that I want to get, and I would have picked this one up today, but there is a version, I think maybe in Germany, that has a Blu-ray, so I'll be importing that, because it's, you know, it's a guilty pleasure, kind of underrated one. Night of the Roxbury here is a fun one that I don't have. This is something that I looked at it just based on the title alone. Night of the White Pants is something that, oh wow, can't get away from that one. But yeah, the majority of the store is going to be DVDs. Now I always scan them. There's quite a few movies here that I'm always looking for. Now the goal is not to add many more DVDs to the collection. So 100% if there is a Blu-ray, whether it's here in America or I can import a Blu-ray from another country, I'm skipping it. But with that, there's definitely some neat things like this, Dog Eat Dog, I'm pretty sure has never had a DVD. Great cast, Nicolas Cage, William Dafoe. I don't think you can go wrong there. I'm not going to be picking it up today, but something that's high on my radar. Now, the few movies that I'm always looking for on DVD are going to be Trojan War and, you know, any of those like 90s comedies that just never really, or even early 2000s comedies that never really made it to Blu-ray. So that's what I'm always really looking for, things that are high on my radar. But then, you know, always you find a gem, something you've never seen as well. So if I do pick up any DVDs today, I'm going to make sure 100% there is no Blu-ray whatsoever. So as I go through the T's looking for Trojan War, and you know, if there's anything else, you know, obviously it's harder to find one. I'm probably gonna have to pick that up as soon as possible on eBay or something, because they only ever had the DVD of it, and it's just for me something I'd love to revisit. Turbulence. This is the latest talk of the town. Is this one a Christmas movie? Is it not a Christmas movie? Well, it takes place at Christmas time. It has to be a Christmas movie. So it's something that I'm not going to pick it up because I'm pretty sure there's a Blu-ray of this, but that's something that I would like to add into the Christmas rotation. This one, I'm not sure if I need it, but we're looking at a great cast here. You have Michael Caine, Michael Keaton. I don't think you can go wrong. Two Michaels in the same movie. Something that I didn't pick it up, but very interested. I think it would probably make a great Saturday afternoon film. Now, some of the other ones that I'm always looking for is there's the newer remake of Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley, but there's an older one from the 70s that had Raquel Welch and I believe Dudley Moore. Now that's what I'm always trying to find, because as far as I understand, there was only a Twilight Time Blu-ray, and that's sitting around $100. Singing in the Rain is one of my all-time favorites. I'm not going to pick this one up. I don't need it. It's not in the best condition. The front of it has like a little bit of a mark on it or a tear or something. But overall, I love the film, and if I could find some nicer packaged ones or something I didn't have already, I'd probably add it, because I still do watch DVDs, especially when I go on vacation. I take my portable DVD player. But other than that, I'm trying not to add anything that I don't already have. Now this Hellboy here, if you can find it, pick up the DVD, because if you have the 4K of it, there are special features that are only on this DVD, and they're like a couple hours. It's a pretty long special feature that never made it to Blu-ray or 4K, and any of those 4Ks only had the Blu-ray copy as well. The In-Laws, I don't know if this was the one that had a Criterion release, but it's something that it's been high on my radar for a while, something I've wanted to add, but I'm pretty sure there's a Blu-ray of this one. Now True Romance is another one that I absolutely love, and again, this one, the package is all beat up. It's something that I would have added because I don't mind collecting multiple versions of this one, and again, just having the Blu-ray and the regular DVD, this is something I would love to add. Now here's one. Dracula makes all of my, my top 5 favorite films of all time. This version of Dracula, the DVD, I'm collecting as many versions as I can find, so I'm probably going to pick this one up today. School of Rock is another one. It has a Blu-ray, but I don't have it at all, and it's something I'd like to revisit at some point, but I don't need to pick up the DVD. Now in general, I'm always looking for, not really music, but if there's any soundtracks, I'll usually pick them up, even if they're movies that I don't even have in the collection, or they're not my all-time favorites. I do enjoy most of the soundtracks. Now here's the Blu-ray section. There's only 8 feet of this, so there's 2 4-foot sections, and they're not even fully stacked up, but the entire rest of the store, it's like 20 or 30 feet long all the way. It's mostly DVDs, and then there's an entire rack right behind me that it was hard to film because the amount of people that were in the store, it just wasn't easy to film. And over there is mostly your westerns and classic music, musicals and stuff that I probably already have. So I never really checked that section out too often, but I'm really here for the Blu-rays today. Straight Talk. I have this one on Blu-ray already. It's one that came out in the 90s. It's not my all-time favorite. There's a version of a movie, I think it's called The Couch Trip, where basically Dan Aykroyd does the same thing, but he's a little bit crazy and gets the job by lying. She just gets the job. It falls into her lap, this position, and she's just really good at it. And so it's very similar, but the whole talk radio thing and shock, not really a shock jock, but shaking things up. And so, Straight Talk is a fun one, but I do prefer Couch Trip, the Couch Trip a lot better. Unsane. Absolutely love the movie poster on here, but this movie doesn't look like a me movie. I've seen the trailer a few times, but I do like that poster. Now here's something that really, the inner child in me just wants to grab this. Like if I was like 12 or 13 and this was on TV, this would make a great Saturday afternoon movie. But we're talking about this vamp father with Danny Trejo, and it looks like this whole Mexican vampire thing, but it also doesn't look all that great. So it's something that, even though it's not on my list, I'm very interested in adding it. Now here's something I didn't know existed, Adventures of the Chocolate Factory. So I don't know if it's like a prequel or a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or the Willy Wonka story, or anything like that. So I always think that there's very slim pickings. Now, if there was no budget and I didn't have the goal of trying to replace some of these movies, there's plenty in here that I would probably add, like Old Dogs. I don't remember loving it all that much, but for the cheap price of being able to trade some movies in and getting a store credit, I wouldn't mind watching that one again. Gulliver's Travels was up there. So there's definitely some movies that I wouldn't mind watching or renting, but the entire thing is just to replace this 40, and it's harder to find some of these movies, and that's why I probably didn't have the upgrade already, because they're movies that just never really came across. But hoping that we knock a lot of these off this year. As I'm scanning these, nothing here is really standing out to me. There's a few that I would add, just in general, just to check them out. But other than that, there's nothing that I wanted to upgrade, nothing I've seen before that I didn't already own. And the few that I didn't, you know, it's just, do I really need them kind of attitude? Are these things that are going to end up being traded back in or turned off to the used the thrift store? Now that's another thing, is that I don't know if everyone's the same, but the different used bookstores that I go to, I have definitely on more than one occasion picked up a movie, and my movies are perfectly fine. They're not scratched at all. They're just a big collection. I've been doing this for a very long time. But I pick up a movie, I watch it, I'm not thrilled with it, and then I go to trade it back in, and then they refuse to take it, saying that it's all scratched up. And you look, and there's like some minor scuffs or whatever, and it was obviously playable. I didn't have a problem with it, but then overall, it just kind of, it's one of those things that they sold it to me in that condition, and I just never checked, or I didn't notice until I got home, kind of thing. So moving forward, pro tip, check your discs, even if it's from a trusted place like this, that as I do my trade-ins, they look at every single disc, and before they take it, you got to make sure it's all not scratched or not scuffed. And so just to assume that every single employee does that job, does it well, I'm not going to do that anymore. From now on, I'm going to open up every disc before I walk out of the store, just so I don't have that issue, because it starts to add up, one here, one there. Over the, I think last year it might have happened 10 times, so that's about $25 worth of movies that I could have had something else. Miami Rhapsody again. Milk, I always thought that was like the other one. There's this like Milk Money movie. It's this like cute romantic comedy I remember from the 90s. That's what I thought it might have been. Now this one here, The Lookout, this is something that I don't think I've seen it, and then when I was looking it up in the store, it had a good price tag, so I think it's probably out of print, so worth checking out. Another Miami Rhapsody. I don't think I can get away from this movie, so I'm probably going to pull the trigger at some point, but then like how many copies are here? It's wild. Wedding Days, great cast. I'll check this out. All right, so I'm back, but it is a whole different day. This is, I'm wearing the same shirt because for continuity purposes, but this is something that I already recorded this video, and then the file was corrupted or something. I don't know. I don't have it, and this is something that is kind of frustrating. But as we dive in, this is the stuff that I grabbed. Now, the goal was to trade in all those DVDs and then not buy DVDs, but I kind of did, because I got some DVDs that don't have Blu-rays at all and stuff that I don't really suspect coming in to Blu-ray anytime soon. And then there was one here that it had a Blu-ray before, but it's so long out of print that the last time I looked, they were like $100 on eBay. So, and I have the PSP UMD disc for it, but I just don't have a PSP to play it. So now I can finally do that. So I got a couple of things here, but then I'm also kind of a sucker for some like special edition packaging, and especially if it's brand new sealed. And so I did get these, but I opened them up already because I made that video already. But then these ones right here. So Lost in Space and Nightmare on Elm Street, these were brand new sealed. And these snapper cases, now this one must have been stored in a warm place because the glue was all melted and was hard to get off. But the original stickers that were on here, the security tape that was on here, was something that was extremely enjoyable to remove. It just had this like weird satisfying feeling, so I absolutely loved it. But I remember when these snapper cases were new, all my friends, everybody I knew kind of complained about them, but in the movie collecting and DVD collecting community, people love the snapper cases, and I'm right there with you. So these are my favorites, but as I'm trying to collect, not every single version, but I'll definitely pick up as many copies of Nightmare on Elm Street as I can, and I didn't have this version. Now I have the snapper case box set, and it just has different cover art, so it's not like I was without it, but this is just a cool pickup, I think. And this one I had found years ago. The case itself was in solid condition, like very mint, but then the disc itself was like cracked down the middle. And so I've had that thinking I was going to find like a scratched up one day and just, or a beat up case and then put out the disc in there and just kind of make a Frankenstein one. But this was sealed brand new, and so this is completely mint. Glad to have these because I like those films. But then I found this right here, and I had to grab it, and it is Titanic. This is completely sealed. I'm going to open it. I'm just not opening it right now. And I just absolutely, I love it. I think this is really cool. Titanic, it's a go-to. I enjoy it. I still got to pick up the 4K. I just recently added it to my wish list, so it's something I'll be trying to get this year. But I do love Titanic. I have the double pack VHS. I have the DVD, and now I have this one. And I had never seen this, so when this was a brand new film, this is something I completely missed. So this was a no-brainer. But then I picked up these. So Deuce Bigalow, I just watched the VHS. It doesn't have a Blu-ray. I found the DVD for $2. I had to grab it. But then this one, Tomcats, had that Blu-ray that was like a $100 purchase. So picking this up for $2 and being able to watch it, not a bad deal. But I would love for the Blu-ray to come back in stock, or a different company, a different boutique label to reprint that Blu-ray or put it out. Just something that I think it's overall fun. It's just a good raunchy comedy, but there's no way I'm paying that higher price on eBay. Glad to have this in the collection and be able to watch it finally. But then I grabbed some Blu-rays. That was the real goal. And so in the Blu-rays that I grabbed is these ones here. Some were on my radar, but then I was only able to get one off my list and knock that off. But these ones here, I picked up Wedding Days. This was a blind buy, trying to get more raunchy comedies in the collection. This was an enjoyable watch too. I really enjoyed this one. But this is something that I just don't remember when it came out, or nobody was ever talking about this one, and I think it was fun. And here's another one. Now, when I got it, I didn't think that I had seen it, but after watching it, I definitely saw this movie. But it's really enjoyable. It's a great Saturday afternoon film. But you have Jeff Daniels, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Ilsa Fisher. And so that was the big draw for me. But we're talking about The Lookout. Now, this one, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, he has an accident in high school, and he has brain damage, and so that's pretty much the whole thing. He's working in a bank, and then people convince him to rob the bank, and it's a good one. I like heist stories. I like bank jobs. Any of those movies I'm really a sucker for, but this one I saw back on deployment, and I just never knew the name of it. So I had seen it before, and I really did enjoy this one. But now, this one, I had recently was watching something else, and the trailer for this popped up. So this was on my radar. So seeing the Blu-ray was just an easy pickup. We're talking about Catch and Release. Now you have Kevin Smith in here, just an early Kevin Smith. But this is just an overall, it's a decent romantic movie. I wouldn't call it necessarily a rom-com. It's got some, it's more of like a dramedy kind of story, but really enjoyed that one. Now here's something I really did love it. I don't know why I didn't have it in the collection earlier, but overall I think it's fun. It was a fun rewatch, and it's one of those ones that it's considered a raunchy comedy. It even talks about it on the back, but I don't necessarily chalk it up to like a raunchy comedy. Like, I don't put this in the category of some of the other ones, because even though like there's like sex talk and sex jokes, and that's kind of in there, it didn't seem to be like the main focus. But either way, She's Out of My League is something that I really enjoyed, and picking it up for real cheap was on my radar. So I think this was in my wish list. So I didn't have it yet, but it was just an easy no-brainer. But then this one here is something that I had never heard about it before. But I mean, I never saw the trailers, but I have heard the title before. But it's something that has just this giant cast of people, and I do like romantic movies. I like rom-coms. I'm not sure which one this falls into, but just the cast alone, I had to grab it, and it's called He's Just Not That Into You. So that's something that, looking forward to diving into that. But then the only one that I was able to knock off my list was White Men Can't Jump. So I had this on DVD, so this was a solid upgrade. It was worth it because the titles that I did get, and then I did knock off this. So that was great. I got rid of a DVD. Well, I got rid of the 40 DVDs, but I was able to upgrade one. And so now I'm going to spend the rest of next year, or this year, trying to knock off the rest of those DVDs and upgrade to Blu-ray as cheaply as possible, because now if this does come to 4K, I like the movie. I don't necessarily know if I would jump on the 4K right away, but there were some DVDs in that collection that if a 4K came out, I probably would jump on it day one. So this one here, glad to have it. But if I did upgrade to 4K, for paying the $2 that I paid for this, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. But I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of all this. And if you like haul videos, you're going to want to check out this video right here. And with that, remember to watch a movie today, and I'll catch you guys next time.